Hey, hi, hello. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're not new around here, welcome back to RJ Crochet, where we make stuff, break stuff, and generally test my patience. But today, we will not be testing my patience, we will not be breaking stuff, but we will definitely be making stuff. Today, I will be carrying on with the Indecision Shawl by Violet Loops. Those of you who are eagle-eyed will notice that I haven't. First of all, this is the same top as last week's book review, and I haven't moved on from last week's book review. That is because I am kind of batch filming, and I needed to get more videos out. Um, Today we will be talking about. Excuse me, how rude! We will be talking about the Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. Now, I don't actually have. Excuse me again. I don't have a physical copy of this book. I got it on Audible, so I will insert the blurb here. In 1901, the word bondmaid was discovered missing from the Oxford English Dictionary. This is the story of the girl who stole it. Esme is born into a world of words, motherless and irrepressibly curious. Esme spends her childhood in the scriptorium, a garden shed in Oxford, where her father and a team of lexicographers are gathering words for the very first Oxford English Dictionary. Esme's place is beneath the sorting table, unseen and unheard. One day she sees a slip containing the word bondmaid flutter to the floor unclaimed. Esme seizes the word and hides it in an old wooden trunk that belongs to her friend Lizzie, a young servant in the big house. Esme begins to collect other words from the scriptorium that are misplaced, discarded, or have been neglected by the dictionary men. They help her make sense of the world. Over time, Esme realizes that some words are considered more important than others, and that words and meanings relating to women's experiences often go unrecorded. She begins to collect words for another dictionary, the Dictionary of Lost Words. Set when the women's suffrage movement was at its height and the Great War loomed, the Dictionary of Lost Words reveals a lost narrative hidden between the lines of a history written by men. It's a delightful, lyrical, and deeply thought-provoking celebration of words and the power of language to shape our experience of the world. So this book made me cry. It was beautiful. I love the way it was written. It was kind of written kind of dryly, but also beautifully. Like the way Pip Williams uses words is stunning. So this book is basically kind of how the Oxford English Dictionary got made, but told from one of the scriptorium workers' daughter, Esme. So we kind of see it through Esme's eyes and see it grow through Esme's eyes, and we're looking at, well, we're basically following Esme through her life from a young girl. Her mum has died, so she only lives with her dad, and this is like the early 1900s. So the dynamic is very interesting. Like he's for the early 1900s, he is a very progressive father. So some of the stuff, this is not spoiler free. There are going to be spoilers in this review. I should have said that at the beginning. For some of the situations that Esme gets herself into, he is very progressive and caring and loving, which I obviously love. We love a progressive father here, and mother. Yeah. I was going to go into a whole rant about that, but not right now. So we start off with how this book is going to turn out by. So the scriptorium workers, they write words on what is called a slip. So there'll be little pieces of paper with words on them, and they'll get submissions from the public of words. and they'll have to find like multiple uses of this word for it to end up in the dictionary. So Esme's in the scriptorium and she finds a slip with bondmaid on it, and there's something about it that she loves, so she keeps it. Her friend slash someone who looks after her, Izzy, her name Izzy. Oh, I wrote it down somewhere. Where? Lizzie. Sorry. Lizzie works at the big house where the scriptorium is kind of on the grounds of it. It's based in a shed on the grounds of a big house. Lizzie works for the big house, but she also kind of takes care of Esme as well. Sorry, need some water. And Lizzie lets Esme sleep in her room, and she has a little chest in Lizzie's room, where she ends up putting this word, bondmaid. And slowly throughout the book, she collects more and more words, and then ends up working in the scriptorium herself. And she gets paid as well. Not as much as the men, but she still gets paid. And all the people there quite like her and quite like having her around. Because she is very good at what she does. Like she organizes for them, and she does her own research, and she goes to like the big library and goes to the university to find them stuff, and etc. etc. So throughout this book, we're progressing through the early part of the 1900s, right? So we have the suffragette movement, we have World War One, we have all these big things that are going on in England at the time. So Esme ends up becoming friends with this actress, who is part of the suffragette movement, and gets Esme involved. Much to Lizzie's chagrin, Lizzie does not approve of it, because in her mind she's thinking, well, what does it change for me? It's not going to change anything. She's always going to be a servant. She's always going to be where she is in life. Like, nothing's going to change. So Esme ends up going to, she goes to some rallies, she ends up handing out some leaflets, but she also makes very good friends with the actress's brother. I think his name is Ben. I could be wrong, but I think it's Ben. And by very close, you know what I mean. She ends up getting pregnant after her friend and the brother have left town. Not after, obviously, but she finds out afterwards. I've missed a whole chunk, but I will come back to it. So she sends a letter to her aunt Dita about it, and she ends up going to. My gosh, I've actually missed two massive chunks out. Can I remember the first chunk? Okay, yes. I'll come back to it. So Esme ends up going to stay with her aunt Dita so that she can give birth, and the baby gets given up for adoption. And Esme is just not okay for a while after that. Obviously, like, it's traumatic, and while the adoptive parents are lovely and spend time with Esme beforehand, it's hard for Esme to. She's only young and she doesn't have a mother, so it is hard for her. But before all of this, Esme gets sent to school, and she gets sent to a school quite far away. I think it's up in Scotland, and we don't find out a lot about it, but we find out that one of the teachers was extremely abusive to all the students there, and Esme comes back for breaks very depressed and very upset and very just not her usual self. Um, so her aunt Dita and her dad end up taking her out of the school and like, no, just keep going to this school near locally to us so that you can be at home with your dad. Um, and I think it's after this where she's actually working more at the scriptorium and after school, but before the actress and the brother and the pregnancy, she starts going to the market with Lizzie and starts, because Esme is quite middle class, and spending time with Lizzie, who is lower class, she's a servant. She starts going to the market with Lizzie and starts hearing how the people speak there and how free and open they are with their language, and how there's words like the C word that Esme has never heard of, but Lizzie is very frantic and like, please don't write that word down. It's not nice. It's not a good word. But she meets all these people and she finds words that aren't used in the scriptorium, aren't even in the dictionaries, because of their vulgarity. I mean, the C word is, I find it vulgar, but other people don't mind it. But there are all these words that are too vulgar for the dictionary that's being written. And Esme collects all these words, writes them down, and learns them. And that is where she meets her friend, her actress friend. So we've done the pregnancy, done the school, la-di-da-di-da. So while she's working properly at the scriptorium, she does have to go to the library and the university for helping to do some research. And while there, she ends up meeting someone, and we really like him. His name, I didn't write down his name. I've forgotten his name. He is lovely, and she meets this man, and they end up becoming quite good friends. And he'll come to the scriptorium and hand her these slips of words that aren't going to be in the dictionary. And yeah, they start becoming closer and closer. She does end up telling him about the pregnancy, which I'm happy that she did, which it must have been so hard for her, but he doesn't bat an eyelid at all. He's like, okay, great. So they end up knowing each other for a while, and when he proposes, he doesn't actually have a ring for her. He hands her this. Oh, he works at the press, the printing press. So he helps bind books and stuff. So as a proposal, instead of a ring, he gives her this bound book that just says the Dictionary of Lost Words. And it's got all of the words that she has collected over the years. Him and Lizzie were very sneaky behind Esme's back and collected all the words, and he printed one copy for her, for Esme. And it is such, oh, I'm not doing it injustice, obviously, but it's the most beautiful thing, and I loved it. It was so cute. And obviously Lizzie is so happy to see her name in writing, because a lot of the words came from Lizzie, and it is just so cute. So they end up getting married. Her father is obviously so happy, but I think before they end up getting married, her father dies, and that is so heartbreaking. And so what's really nice is that Lizzie ends up moving in to Esme's house with her for a while Esme grieves, to look after her. And in a way it is quite nice, but in a way it's like, oh, Lizzie is still working. Like, she's being paid for this, but also it brings both of them some comfort because they do love each other. And you can tell that Lizzie loves her. Lizzie loves Esme, and Esme loves Lizzie. They just come from two completely different worlds. Um, but yeah, Esme ends up getting married. But a month later, her husband gets shipped off to World War One. And the most heartbreaking part of it is that he dies there during the First World War. And that scene where an officer comes to her door, I'm gonna cry again. It's heartbreaking. Um, Thankfully, Lizzie is with her at the time. Um, but honestly, guys, read the book. Like, I'm not doing it any justice at all. I highly recommend The Dictionary of Lost Words by Pip Williams. It is a beautiful book, and you should definitely read the author's note because some of it there is fact among the fiction in this book. So if you get a chance, definitely pick up this book. I loved it. So happy reading, guys. If you have any book recommendations for me, let me know. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram at rj.crocheted to keep more up to date with what I'm working on. And I'll see you in the next one. Happy reading, guys.